Hello, this is Annalisa from Faith Dream Create, and welcome back to my channel. You are watching my Christmas card series for 2021. So I will be using this stamp set from Holtz, and this was the Stamptember 2021 collaboration with Simon Says Stamp for Stamptember in September, and it also comes with a moon mask and a moon stencil. And I'm going to be inking this up and creating a scene. So as you are seeing here, I was first playing with a normal standard size smaller card, but I wanted to use so many different elements from this stamp set. They just all were not going to fit from the idea that I had in my head. So as I was playing around with it, it's like, no, this size is not going to work. So you're going to see me pull in a slimline card, and then I get to work and start creating my scene. So there you can see the moon mask and stencil. And there is a pack of moon masks and stencils that are bigger and have different sizes. This size is exclusive to this stamp set. And this stamp set is no longer available, so I cannot link to it because it was an exclusive only for September, Stamptember. But Holtz has so many great stamp sets. You should definitely check him out. He has some other Santa related sets that are fun to work with as well. So I'm just inking this scene up in my stamping platform, and I was playing around with it. Sometimes I can get great embossing results with the Memento Tuxedo black ink, but you have to move quickly. So as you were seeing there, that was not working out for me. So what I'm doing to get the embossed impression perfectly, I stamped in Memento Tuxedo black ink first, then I cleaned my stamp, and then I used the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink, and I stamp over that, and I'm able to do that with my stamping platform. And then I apply the clear embossing powder and heat set that to get that shiny look on the stamped area. And this is going to add just that fun raised effect and like that shine to the stamped area. So I'm doing the same thing with the sled. And this is also going to help as I color in the images and to keep the images vibrant when I do my ink blending as well. So adding the clear embossing powder to the slate, and I'm using the Ranger clear embossing powder for this. I just love as this melts. It is so magical in itself. So then I am stamping the magic trail, the stars, however you want to view this, and I'm creating that in the scene, doing the same technique, but actually this time I did not use the Memento Tuxedo black ink because I'm going to be using some silver embossing powder here, and this is a older embossing powder that I had in my collection, but you could use any silver embossing powder that you have, and I think gold would look really beautiful here too. You could even do like a blue, and then just brushing away some of the extra powder, and then I'm going to heat set that and make it sparkle. Making sure I got all of the pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the moon mask down so I can start doing the ink blending on my card. I am so happy with how this card turned out. I have worked with red rubber stamps only a few times, but I've never created a scene with them, so this was so fun to work with. So before I move on to the ink blending, I'm also inking up the cloud and doing the same technique with the two different inks so that I can heat emboss this, and then I'm going to melt that powder and then put this off to the side till later to bring it in at the end. So I'm going to put that moon mask down, and I use some pixie spray to do this, and then here comes the ink blending and putting this card all together. So I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide inks to create the background and blend them together to create a night sky. So I'll have all of the supplies that I can link to down below in the description box, and you can check those out if you can. Like I said, I cannot link to this Holtz set because it was an exclusive. But if you got this stamp set during Stamptember, definitely go ahead and pull it out. I hope this gives you inspiration to work with this particular stamp set or a similar one, or just gives you an idea how to make the most out of your other stamps by Tim Holtz or by other companies as well. So just ink blending this up and creating that night sky, some darker colors at the top and lighter colors towards the ground. And then to bring in that night sky, I'm also just adding a little bit of black soot Distress Oxide inks to just darken it up and bring in that night. And then I will keep going with the card. So this is a very detailed card. It's a little bit longer of a video, but it is super sped up. This was quite a time-consuming process, but it was so worth it in the end. Yeah, so now I am using my Spectrum Norm markers to color in the trees. I did not know how I was going to add color to this at the moment. You saw that I had the Distress Oxide color in green out, and I was thinking maybe I'll ink blend it, but I was like, no, that's going to get too messy and it's going to do too much blending into the blue. So then I decided to add in the color with Spectrum Norm markers. Those are the markers that I have the most of, and I really like how this turned out. I was able to add the colors in, and it was able to go over the embossed areas if it needed to, and it just brings so much life to these images and makes the images come to life as you add the colors in, especially when I get to the Santa and I add those reds in and those browns in. You're going to see it just comes to life. Right now it doesn't look like much because it's black, it's white, some of the color has been lost kind of with the ink blending, but you're going to see it come to life. So stay tuned, keep watching, see this Santa and his sled and his reindeer come to life for this fun Christmas card. I had so much fun creating this card. So much fun. I am so glad I picked up this set, and I am loving Tim Holtz products. They are so fun. So as I add this red in, you just see so much life, and I decided to add purple onto his bag in his sleigh because there's going to be a lot of reds and there's already a bunch of green down at the bottom. I wanted to bring in a different color, and there's a lot of blue in the background, so I thought that purple would be the perfect color for that little piece of the stamping. And then I'm using the white gel pen to bring the detail back in on his hat and his sleeve, his cuff of his sleeve. And I'm going to add a little bit more of an element there as we go on to make that the white parts on his hat stand out even more. So stay tuned for that. But right now I am just going to use some acrylic paint, and I'm going to water that down, and I'm going to splatter it onto the background to create a star or snow effect in the background. And I got a little bit too much on at first, but that's okay. I just wiped it away, and now I've watered it down a little bit more, and I'm splattering it on with a smaller brush. The brush that I picked at first was too big and just wasn't blending too much, and I don't think I had enough water. You really want to water down the paint. So splattered that on until I was happy with it, and I didn't mind if it went over the images because it just gives it that snowy, crazy effect. So I took off the mask, and there was a little bit that got pulled up from the paper, but that is okay. It just adds texture to the moon. Just keep going with it, keep flowing. And then I'm putting on that that stencil over the masked area, and I'm going to pull out some Distress Oxide inks and ink blend this moon stencil up. I just love how this comes together. It is so beautiful in the night sky. So once that is all done, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, and I just added a little bit of a glow around the moon as well to emphasize that this moon is shining, and it is shining bright. So peeled that up, and was trying to decide how to finish this off, how to make it shine, how to make it line up with the rest of the card, but I will come back to that. At first I want to show you, I'm using the Marvy Snow marker, and you just put it on, you dab it onto the areas, and then you use your heat tool and it puffs it up, and makes it kind of 3D. So this worked really, really well for that area, really brought the white areas to life. I'm sorry I'm off camera here. This was a bit of a detailed spot on the card, and I was trying to make sure that all of the puffy areas were lined up with the areas they needed to be. So you can just see that white is now really vibrant and standing out where it needs to be. So now back to the moon. What I'm going to do, I needed to make it sparkle and shine and kind of align with all of the other embossing things, because the embossing powder makes it more 3D and it makes it shine. So what I do is I take that stencil, put it back down, and you just saw me put the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink right over top of it, and then I'm able to add in the clear embossing powder. And then I'm just taking a little bit of the extra areas that I do not want to shine, and then I'm going to heat set that, and this is just going to make everything kind of flow. A little bit of shine along the whole card and finish it off. And then to take this moon one step further, I grabbed my Nuvo sparkle pen, shimmer pen, and added some glitter in there to make the white stand out a little bit more. And there's finishing up the white areas, adding a few more details that I saw that needed to be fixed, and I just love how this is coming together. And then I took my Black Soot Distress Oxide ink, and I'm inking up the edges just to finish them off. I don't feel like you really needed to do this, but when I was working on this, this is what my process was. This is one of those cards that you have an idea in your head and it just comes together. So here is that cloud that I stamped a little bit ago, and I'm just going to add a little bit of gray to it with my spectrum markers and then fussy cut it out. And then I'm going to add some foam tape, and I'm going to adhere it over the moon to pop it up and add the finishing touches. And then I will go ahead and work on my sentiment. And I chose to do Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. There's so many other great sentiments in this set. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Believe in the magic of Christmas. And it's the most wonderful time of the year, and 'tis the season to be jolly. So before I go ahead and stamp my sentiment, you just saw that I added a little bit of that sparkle to the cloud with the Nuvo glitter pen, and then I adhere the panel to the card base, and then we're going to go ahead and get started on the sentiment. So stay tuned and see how I adhere the sentiment to this card. Getting it all lined up, and there was a little bit that hung over, so just cutting that off. And then I will be ready to do the sentiment. So as I said, I am doing Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. So I'm going to use my stamping platform to do this, and I'm going to be using some black cardstock, and I'm using the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink again, and then I will be using Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder to make this sentiment stand out on the black cardstock. This is one of my favorite ways to do sentiments. So then I'm heat setting that, melting up that powder, and then I will fussy cut this sentiment out and adhere it down to the card base with some foam tape just to kind of keep everything systematic. I have the cloud mounted up on foam tape, so this brings another more dimensional piece to the bottom of the card. So here I was trying to figure out where I wanted to place it, but I decided to place it right here just so that nothing got taken away from. I think that a little snowman would look so perfect down here by the trees looking up at Santa and the moon. I think that would be so cute. That's what I was thinking this whole time I was making the card, but I do not have a little snowman that would go with the theme. So popped that up on foam tape, and that is going to finish up the card. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.